This is Fountain
Every
Street
week I find
Church.
it hard to find the best ones, but somehow, like I said, you'll hear what I'm trying to say even when the words
Here,
aren't.
we strive to free the mind, grow the soul, and change the world. Here, there is freedom to doubt and freedom to believe. Here, you can find a house of prayer for all people.
The swallow up Jonah.
Welcome to Fountain Street Church. Join us on the journey.
I don't know if you've ever done one of those timeline exercises of your life. It's an exercise where you draw a horizontal line on a piece of paper and then you mark off little 5 to 10 year segments and note what was going on in your life in those 5 to 10 year segments. And then after that, after you've noted the events in your life in that way, you're asked to look once again over that timeline and to draw vertical lines where there have been major shifts, significant radical changes, major breakpoints in your life. When I look at my own timeline in this way, there are 2 breakpoints that stand out beyond all others. And the first was a breakpoint in my late 20s when I left the church into which I had been born, the Christian Reformed Church, and became a religious liberal shortly thereafter to find employment here, become part of the staff. And then the second break point was in my early 50s when I left this place after serving for 22 years as an associate minister, this religious community that had embodied the faith into which I had been reborn. It's now into the 10th year since I've been gone from this place, this second womb, if you will. I started attending here in 1976. I began working here as an intern in 1978, and then as an associate minister from 1979 to the late summer of 2001. 2001 to 2002, I was an interim minister at the Hope Unitarian Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and 2002 to 2004, interim minister at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, Texas. And since that time, I've been the minister of the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Port Townsend, Washington. It's a congregation of a little over 300 persons in a community of about 8,000 souls that's located on the very northeast tip of the Olympic Peninsula. Actually, there's a thumb peninsula. It's called the Quimper Peninsula. We're right on the end of that. And it's about 30 miles from Seattle as the eagle flies, but about 2 hours by car and ferry. And it's not a bedroom community of Seattle. It's also, Port Townsend is about 2 hours from where I was born and raised in Linden, Washington, a small community. And I feel most fortunate to find myself in a spectacularly beautiful part of the world, near to my roots, near to my parents, both of whom have passed now, my mother just this past summer. Also near to my extended family. I have 96 first cousins. There were 11 children on my father's side and 14 on my mother's. So I'm also, my Flossie and I, and we're in nearly 40 years of marriage, just coming up in this month, actually. Yeah. She's been my partner in not only in marriage but also in work. Our youngest daughter Libby lives near us in Seattle. Just this year, she's taken an assistant position as a teacher in a private school there. She has insurance and all of that. And our oldest daughter, Katie, both of them grew up here in this community and in this church. She was married at Christmas time, the year 2000, here in this sanctuary, to Andrew Lang. Both of them are at Penn State. She's an administrator there, and she's taught in the creative writing program before that for several years. She just published her first little book of poetry, so they're all doing well. So that's a thumbnail sketch of our life, Flossie and my life, since leaving here. A real quick review for those of you who knew us and know us, and a quick introduction for those of you who have not met us before. What I thought I would do this morning with you is to talk about what has been a development in my approach to religion since leaving this place. And this development has not so much to do with my own personal religious philosophy, which remains pretty much as it was, but more about how I approach liberal religion, of which the congregation that I serve and this congregation are examples. Some of you will recall while I was here the influence of Joseph Campbell, somebody that Duncan Littlefair put me onto, and the most brilliant scholar that I have ever met. He gave lectures here in this sanctuary from 1980 to 1982, and twice delivered spectacular sermons on Halloween Sunday, just a week ago past. Well, Joseph Campbell had a tremendous influence on my personal religious philosophy, but the development that I want to talk about this morning in my approach to religion comes from another person with the last name of Campbell, not Joseph Campbell, but Fred Campbell, who is a retired Unitarian Universalist minister. He lives in Williamston, Michigan, just east of Lansing, and who, over the 31 years of his ministry, served, I believe, 11 different congregations, most of them as an interim minister. I invited Fred to be here this morning. I don't know if he's here. Fred, if you are here, would you raise your hand? Thank you, Fred. Well, during the course, and what I'm going to say this morning may not, I'm not your spokesperson, but we'll see, okay? But during the course of his ministry in these Unitarian Universalist congregations, Reverend Campbell found that there were 4 basic faiths, or 4 basic life stances within the congregations that he served, each, as he says, with its own language, its own set of values, problems, limitations, and concerns. And he named these 4 faiths humanism, naturalism, mysticism, and theism. And then there's options and variations or varieties within each of those. But essentially, he found these 4 basic faiths. And I have found this delineation to be most useful and helpful in the congregation that I serve and as my work as a minister. And so I thought you might find it helpful or at least interesting. So that's what I'm going to bring to you this morning. I'm going to give you, this was a 5-week sermon series. And I've been known to go over time, but I've tried to condense this. So the idea here is to see which of these 4 faiths might be closest to your own. Not that you're going to be all in one or the other, but that you perhaps have a greater affinity towards one over the other. And please note that the title of my sermon is 4 faiths within liberal religion. So it's within a larger unity that I'm talking about, this diversity, this plurality of belief. And the unity I'm talking about was expressed in the responsive reading from David Rankin. I'd like to add some more bullet point beliefs to that, because I think there's many more that could be added, but time does not permit, so I'm going to turn a page here.